we started the show this morning with that definitely forgettable weekend. The Stampedes recorded different parts of the country. Coming off, the Ibadan Stampede, we want to get deeper into it. What may we have missed? What exactly is going on? How do we stop the next disaster from happening? These are some of the issues we're starting off with on the show this morning. We're joined by the president of the Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria, ISPON, Mr. Timothy Iwagu. It's right here in our Lagos studio. And right next to him is Mr. Olusegun Odufo, a psychologist, joining us from the University of Lagos. But he's right here in our Lagos studio, right? But he's in the Unilag. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to the Morning Brief. Let me start with you, Mr. Iwagu. When you thought that Ibadan happened and we're trying to recover from it, Anambra happened, Abuja happened, and we're looking at a death toll of over 60 at this point. Avoidable, I shall say. So when you look at these incidents, what first your assessment of the situation, the one in Ibadan, the one in Abuja, the one in Anambra, there's a string, I think a common thread. Well, you look at things from a different angle. So your assessment first of those incidents and what should have been done to avoid those deaths?
Yes, you see, the truth remains that a crowd is just a gathering of people. And when the traffic is high within that space, a whole lot of things can just prop up. You can see a crowd as an audience. And that crowd could be coming there to listen to a speech. And then along the line, the content of that speech can change the crowd from audience to mob.
Right.
And then when the crowd becomes anxious, to the extent of trying to get something or to reject something, if they are not controlled, some vulnerable ones may just be crushed when there's a surge. And we are looking at reasons. The reasons for the problems or what we recorded in Ibadan, in Anambra, and Abuja on Saturday. You see that there's a common denomination, that denominator. That is the anxiety, the clamoring for getting food. The situation in the country is what has led people to even forget about basic safety concerns. And then, if you look at it, the people are not there to control themselves. The organizers of the event are supposed to put some measures and actions in place so that movement and the activities, the objective of that gathering is achieved in utmost safe environment or safe condition. So we are not going to blame the people. They came there, they're desperate, they're hungry, they need food. And they were told they will get food. So they had to go there. So the organizers of every event, what are they supposed to be doing? Is it just to announce, make a good statement, sound politically correct? We want to feed people. Or maybe you want to use religion and say we are feeding people. And so people should come. The people should come, get the food and eat the food and go home, of course, to eat the food, which means they must go home alive.
Quite some important points you raised there, but it's also important to say for most of these organizers, at least as far as we know, it was good intention.
Yes.
It was well-intentioned for them. For the people who came to, they had good intention in the sense that they wanted food. So I want us to speak to, because there's a tendency now for people to start saying, well, I'm not giving anybody anything again for Christmas or New Year because we've seen these cases go awry. But I'd like to also get his opening comments. Then we'll come into the nitty-gritties, as they say. Opening comments on what you have assessed so far about the situation, the the during itself, and perhaps we'll talk about the after. In terms of the psyche, how did we get to this point? What may we have missed as a people? Because this is not the first time I've known giveaways all my life. You know, churches, politicians. I think politicians probably do it more, and all of the NGOs doing these things. And this is the worst I've seen.
Yeah, I think one of the major issues here is basically the first instinct of survival is your physiological needs. And it's the need for, you're hungry, you want food, shelter, basic water, and all of those things keeps you alive. And because of the economic hardship around, anywhere individuals find opportunity or there's an access to such basic needs, they readily go for it. And so the situation of the country has reduced people to just fighting for survival. The level of the increase in unemployment, inflation rate, a lot of issues here and there, food insecurity. And so once there's an opportunity anywhere, people are ready to go all the way to find food because they need to feed their family. And so when there's an opportunity, an organization comes and says, we want to offer a giveaway, we want to give people food, we want to give people a bit of social support, people will come there. But the organizers must be ready for such a crowd that are coming, because you know that even when you cater for 50 people, you're definitely going to get more than 50. You're going to get maybe like triple that number. Even in ordinary parties, if you want to hold any party now and you say you're inviting 100 guests, just be rest assured that you're expecting about 200 guests. So when it now comes to giving out items, you should be ready that, if you look at the Ibadan issue, the Anambra and the Abuja issue, they were expecting over thousands of people, because the giveaway was going for over thousands of people. And when you are expecting people to come and you expect such a crowd, what are the measures you have already put in place? If you look at what happened, if you look at the 3 incidents, practically there was nothing. No perimeters created. The number of securities that were there were just very few. And it was just like a free-for-all. And in such a situation, you expect that people will get injured and they'll be stampeded.
Let's bring in our next guest, business entrepreneur, co-founder, National Progressive Movement, as well as a former vice presidential candidate of the YPP. This is Mr. Umar Gesto. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
Okay, so Mrs. Welcome to the program. I want your first impression on what has played out with this development. We started with Ibadan, then it now happened in Anambra, and then in Abuja. What's your interpretation of what is playing out here? Because as we've said, the people who organized this event, they had good intentions to support people during this very difficult time. And the people went to eat or collect whatever it is that they want to collect. They went there just to survive. But things have now gone south.
Well, first of all, I will want to start by sympathizing with the families of those that are affected, because whenever you see any family member going out to seek for food in the name of palliative or charity or whatsoever, it's a sign that definitely the system or the country is hungry. This is a great pain or failure that any family member will seek out help to meet as in the daily hunger. And there's a kind of major problem that we are having in this part of the world, putting measures, safety measures in every action, which I think is one of the translations to the state of the nation, whereby we don't value safety. As much as we all want to blame the organizers of these programs or these palliatives, we have to know that they wish well to all of us, to Nigerians, because what their own contribution is just to ease the pain of a common man, which is number one, hunger for now. Because if at all in a country like Nigeria, comparing to the minimum wage, the price of a bag of rice is 100 plus, So you can see why families will definitely rush to collect that bag of rice, which is like a minimum, as even with the increment of the minimum wage plus. So it's very, very bad. It's a very bad picture. We all feel bad for it because it's very, very abnormal for it to happen in 3 different places consecutively. It's a sign that something is definitely wrong somewhere. But if we as Black people or Nigerians who put, number 1, safety measures in place, number 2, try and look at the current situation of the common man, that things are not very, very okay, at least we will know that this is a very, very bad situation for all of us, and it's not a very beautiful picture.
We're now back to you on some of the things you've mentioned as far as crowd control, crowd management is concerned, because it appears now the message the people are sending to all of us is that, yeah, we know things have happened in Anambra, it has happened in Ibadan, in Abuja, but we're still hungry nonetheless. So if you organize, we're coming. How should we be preparing to help people? Because now it's not just, it has gone beyond just gathering people and giving them things. He's identified the fact that minimal level of security, no perimeter fencing, to at least manage it. Walk us through what has to be done.
What has to be done? You see, looking at the state of things in the country, you can see how many times tanker trucks will fall and spill their content, and people will go and roast, physically roast, and then on that same day, another tanker truck falls in the next town. People go there to roast, even after watching the other one. So that is the instinct to survive and the desperation created by the realities, economic and socio-economic. And they are all part of what we are having. Now, the point, like I said, it's not about the people, the organizers, the government. It is enshrined in the first schedule of the Constitution that it shall be the duty of government to provide security and welfare of the people. Even the most ignorant and the most vulnerable are supposed to be under government protection. And how does government achieve that? By creating agencies. That's why we have the military, we have the police, we have civil defense, we have all these. These are all the instruments for actualizing the content and the mandate of that constitutional duty assigned to government. Now, when there's law that you can only do some of these things in collaboration with relevant agencies of government, even if you want to, you are a very rich Nigerian and you are philanthropic to the extent that you want to give people food for Christmas, it's good, it's a good thing. But you should do it in collaboration with these agencies of government to ensure proper control of people. And if beyond barriers and all those type of things, people can still collapse the barriers, crush the barriers, and go over. So it's about organizing it. Who are the people you engaged? We have not seen one organization come to the Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria and say, please, we want training for our event personnel who will be managing a crowd and all that. I think that is where we should be looking at. A lot of things, the compliance, poor attitude towards safety compliance is what has turned out to be fatalities. And we are talking of mass casualty issue. And these persons, as if we have no memory. The customs at Harvey Road, Yaba, did sell rice at very low rate. At least I know one woman who died. That one I know the person who died. And she didn't die because she went there to die. But she died even when she said, I hope they won't kill me, because she went the first time, got rice, went second time, got rice, bought rice, of course, because they were selling. And then the third time, she was going reluctantly. She said, the way they are struggling there, she hoped they won't squeeze her, and she died eventually. And another person had to take the whole rice. Now, after she struggled, so it's because she wanted to get more to sell and make money. And you see, because this is a country where child abuse, child labor, and a whole lot of these things manifesting, like sending children to go and hawk in the street. That's how families with 7 children, 10 children can send all of them to go to where they are sharing this type of, giving this handout, to go and collect and bring home. So if it's 5 kg and they're able to get 7 children, bring 5 kg each, so they have enough rice to feed. So they will do these things, undermining the safety risk.
Right. It's important to, and I like the way you've talked about these issues, the adjoining issues, but as I said earlier on, there are people who are thinking, or who have made plans, who probably have bags of rice, vegetable oil, the usual, they have it packed and they're thinking, with what I'm seeing, this trend, we don't think we're going to be going ahead with this food bank or whatever you want to call it, because they don't want people to die at the end of the day when they are trying to do good. So we'll come to the step by step, because this is what you do, the step by step. Before you organize any sort of food drive, what must you put in place? If it's for 5 people, if you're expecting 10 people, 100, 1,000, what must be in place? We'll talk about the role of the authorities as well, because that's an important part of the conversation, and ensuring that when the event is on, what must be done as well. And that's something we'll come to. But let me quickly come to you. And I see this happens in other climes, as I said earlier on. I mean, you see food drives, the food banks, the homeless shelters. You see how things are coordinated. By the way, these are homeless people, right, who are trying to get food, and we don't exactly see things like this happening. So, to tie into the question I'll bring to him, what should we be doing before, during, and perhaps the after? I know a lot of people will need some sort of counseling right now because they've gone through a lot. It's traumatic for them. So maybe let's just quickly walk through that, the before, the during, and the after of this from the psychologist's perspective now.
Okay, so in situations like this, before you even try to organize such an event, you need to collaborate with a lot of organizations, civil society groups, NGOs, media practitioners, even community leaders. Because in such community, there are leaders around that community that, you call a roundtable discussion and, everybody has their own input, so as much as safety practitioners and as event managers, so that everybody gives their professional advice. Media practitioners will help you enlighten people way before the event to draw a bit of awareness and tell them, these are the situations. Yes, you're coming to pick up something, but you have to be orderly and all that. Yes, we know that a hungry person would not even listen to that, because the goal is, I need to get what I want to get. But everybody comes in with their professional advice to be able to put in a bit of strategy on how to manage such events properly. So before you even start at all, you need to also have that collaborative discussion, so that you're able to have a well-planned strategy for such. And so during, we know that definitely, because when everybody comes into on the table and putting all the strategies together, definitely are likely to have minimal crisis at the end of the day. And for people who have gone through such traumatic experience, they need to seek professional help. And for organizers too, I think one of the things they also need to do is also provide a bit of support to victims, because if you go for such a handout and you lose a child or you lose a family or loved one, definitely you're supposed to provide immediate support. And the government also needs to come into play and provide that immediate support to victims of those who have experienced such traumatic experiences.
I think that's something we take for granted a lot, and I'm glad you mentioned that. We have 4 minutes to wind down. So I'll quickly come to you, madam. I don't know if you're planning food drive or anything. Maybe, have you been discouraged? What would you be telling Nigerians who want to also be of help? Then we'll end with Mr. Wagu on what to do step by step. So, Madam, over to you now.
I will still come back to saying this kind of matters are caused by us Nigerians because we don't abide by the rules, we don't follow cues, we don't do things the way we are expected to do them. So I'm calling on Nigerians to whenever, it's not only about collecting palliatives, we don't do things the right way, we don't follow cues, we don't try and abide by rules or by, as in stand by the law and order. We'll organize ourselves, do things as good citizens, all such kind of activities or loss of lives or whatsoever calamities will be limited. So my only message here is, yes, whatsoever happens is happening all as much as we want to blame agencies, government, the palliative distributors, but we have to come back to our own individuality, kind of to individuals to abide by law and order. Let's do things accordingly as civilized human beings. Thank you.
Your take, Ms. Ewago, on some of the things Kyrie talked about, some of the step by step, because I'm also happy you mentioned that even the people who are trying to distribute or give arms now will even be scared of going forward. So psychologically, everybody needs to be, reach out to maybe a professional to know how to manage this so that nobody wants death on their hands. But you are the safety man. So Kyrie talked about step by step. I know you had mentioned it in passing, because some people will still go on. So what should they do and what should they not do? Let's put it like that.
Before these events take place, they are supposed to have what will I call it now? They should anticipate.
More like scenario planning?
Yes, risk assessment.
Okay.
You don't just go there and say, God forbid, it will not happen. You just make sure those things you identify as likely risks, and whether they are perceived or real, must be addressed. So if you know that you are going to have crowd, how orderly would you want that crowd to be? What safety measures? What security measures? Because the aim of crowd control is to ensure safety, to ensure order, and to ensure security. And so these three items must be addressed. And how do you get safety? Because we are talking about prevention or absence of harm when we are talking of safety. And then orderliness has to do with well thought out and mapped out passages. If people are going to be in queue, you should know how they are, the entry point and the exit point. And it's always dangerous when you allow people to enter, pick items, and start coming back. They should just move out without meeting those who are coming in. So there are a whole lot of things. And if there is going to be a crowd surge, then you have to allow, maybe you take a certain number at a time. This number go in. As they take and move out, you pull in the next batch, like that. And that can control and prevent some of these things we are discussing now. But of course, the human environment is awash with hazards. And some of these hazards are behavioral. And so it is about controlling the people. But now we are looking at it. The government is complicit in this matter. We are looking at it now that this prevention is better than cure. Okay. So if government can even make a rule now and say anybody who wants to do these things must do this. But already the Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria has a guideline for these things. Okay. In other climes, in the United States, we have the OSHA. Okay. And the rest of them in the UK, we have a lot of this across the world. The compliance, non-compliance must be sanctioned.
So we shouldn't take it for granted.
Yeah.
The times are different right now. So if you want to do any food drive, you have to ensure that these steps are followed through. Even perhaps get some sort of approval or the buy-in of the police. And this is something we talked about for the Ibadan case. But we have to thank you so much. This is a very, very important conversation. We're glad you're able to provide some insight. We'll be speaking with the President, Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria, ISPON, Sir Timothy Iwagu, as well as Psychologist, University of Lagos, Olusegun Odufuwa. Thank you, gentlemen. We're also joined by co-founder, National Progressive Movement, former vice presidential candidate, YPP, Umar Gesto. Thank you so much, madam, for your time as well. You all raised an important point, which is the state of the nation, the economy. So we'll take a moment now, and when we return, we're joined by a minister in the cabinet of President Bola Tinubu, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. He had put out a tweet commiserating with the families of those who lost loved ones as a result of the Stampedes, but we'll be diving deeper into the contributing factors. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.